Edmonton needs a center. Seguin is a center. Bruins need a wing guy. Hall's a wing. I heard Hall's going to number 2. Bruins Seguin just passed Hall.
And Sam Bowie was a center, and they passed on Michael Jordan. So what more do you want me to tell you?
Basketball is different.
Well,
it's slam dunks in
There's
hockey.
nothing different here. Anyways, the next game is very important. They have 2-1 right now, right? You're going to love it.
Of course.
They can go 3-1 here. And plus Boston, I think they were showing a stat the other night, when they're tied 1-1, they haven't lost a series in the first round yet, so which is great to see.
Right.
So,
listen, I'm loving it, and this is, you know what's crazy? I wrote down the stuff that like, in the first round of the NBA playoffs, you never ever, very, very, you never see an upset.
Yeah.
Hockey, it's like Washington was tight. San Jose, which Joe Thornton, I don't know what your problem is. You are hacks. He got like the curse of the Bambino.
He's Phoenix.
Yep. Phoenix, I mean, Phoenix is the highest seed, but everyone expects Detroit to win that.
Yeah.
You got Chicago having problems with Nashville.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the NHL playoffs. I don't watch many games. I watch some Bruins games during the season. But when playoffs come, it's like a different atmosphere. I love it. I love NHL playoffs. They do it right.
Yeah. Well, the reason why we're doing the Bruins talk today, because our boy Phil Smith right now is out. What's he doing right now?
Right now, I think he's in Montreal. He's going to check out the Washington game tonight. Tomorrow he flies back into Boston for that game. Then he flies out to Colorado for that series. We got him at every game this week. I mean, he's unbelievable. This is what he does. Bruins doing.
And also, he's a little speed dating they call it now?
Speed dating at Kowloon's tonight.
So, the guy's everywhere.
He is.
You can't miss him.
And if he's not at Kowloon's, he'll do it from the phone. He'll just do the video pod so girls can see him. This is what he does. He's everywhere. He loves it.
He is. Well, that's our first segment of Sports Final Round. When we come back, we're going to have North Reading's own Steve Capizzuto talking Red Sox talk. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Sports Final Round. I'm Darren Svensson, my co-host Jay Conley. Correction last segment. Dennis Wyman, you've been playing unbelievable. I'm still stuck in the Celtics in the 80s. Sorry, do you blame me?
Scott Wedman, baby.
Of course. But listen, more importantly, we got North Reading's own Steve Capizzuto joining us for some little Red Sox bashing, should we call it, this week. What do you think, Jay? This has been terrible. Terrible week.
It's crazy. Steve, thanks for coming on the show today.
Guys, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
No problem. Hey, let's get right down to it. They're 4-9. What is going on, Steve?
Well, it's how do you look at it? Is a glass half empty or is it half full?
Yeah.
Take it this way, guys. Let's say it's the middle of July, and the Sox are a game up, a game down, or Tampa. They're all in the mix, okay? It's close. It's the middle of July. And they have a skid where they're 4-9 over 13 games. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Good point.
But because it's the beginning of the year, it's magnified. It's magnified. You have new players. You have a new big pitcher in Lackey. You have the lineup shuffled. You move Ellsbury to left. It's magnified because of the fact that it's the beginning of the season. With that being said, I did go into this season saying this lineup might struggle to score some runs.
Really?
They don't have the Manny and Ortiz of the mid-90s. Of the late 90s and the early 2000s. They don't have the big boppers. They don't have the guys that are going to hit you 40 home runs, 300 with 120 runs batted in. So this team has to manufacture runs. And that is clear because now you have Theo Epstein saying we're going to win with pitching and defense, and we're going to do what's called run prevention. What is run prevention? Well, they're not doing a good job of it right now. Their starting pitchers have the highest ERA in the American League. Their relievers have the most losses in the American League. When you want to talk about run prevention, this team has made more errors than any team other than 2 in baseball.
Let me ask you, think about that now. Here we go. We go out there. Next thing you know, they go for defense. Scudero, Beltry, great left side, great on defense. And you move Ellsbury behind them.
You moved Ellsbury because you brought in a veteran, Mike Cameron.
I agree, but the whole thing is, but would Jason Bay still look good in left field? That's the question. Here's a guy with a bat. We're talking about a big bopper. He makes that lineup. Now you got to pitch to Ortiz. And people forget, you know what, we're going to get into Ortiz, but the whole thing, people forget that Jason Bay actually covered Ortiz last year, second half of the year. It made Youkilis a lot better too. Here's a guy hitting 30 home runs, right, 100-something RBIs. Now, you can say whatever you want, but I wanted to ask Cap about this. How do you sign a contract now with insurance on a guy's, if he gets hurt or not? I mean, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard. These guys, they want him to sign contracts where, if you get hurt,
Right.
you're losing money. It's not ever going to happen.
No, it'll never happen. Not with the Players Union.
No way.
The Players Union in baseball is the strongest Players Union in all the sports. You're not going to get that passed. But when you say that this team has a very strong left side, think about what you're saying, the strong left side. Baseball, defense is up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's where you start up the middle.
Yeah.
Now, Cameron, he's been a hell of a center fielder his whole career. He's 37 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, he may have lost a step. There was a ball that he could have got to the other night that he says it's a ball he catches 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So you're starting up the middle. Scudero, you mentioned.
Yeah.
I think they oversold this guy. I really think Scudero, he's a journeyman. He has played in multiple teams. He's 34 years old. He had a career year last year hitting.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's not going to be confused with an Omar Vizquel or Alex Gonzalez.
Yeah.
He's not going to be that type of defensive player.
Right.
So you have probably an average, maybe a little bit above average shortstop, but he doesn't have the range that you think he has. He's going to be okay offensively, I hope, but you're catching. These guys can't throw anybody out.
No.
So you're up the middle. You had a guy like Ellsbury that could catch anything under the sun.
Yeah.
I know you move him to left field. We'll see how that all plays out.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he's your center fielder of the future.
Yeah.
But pitching and defense, if they're trying to say to us that they're going to win on run prevention, that's telling me, hey, we're afraid of our lineup.
Now, let me ask you that, and I'll ask Darren too, because Darren's a baseball coach. Now all of a sudden you're seeing Varitek catch Beckett, Lester. Now they're getting nervous. Now Tito Francone's getting nervous. Now he's saying, man, I get Martinez back there. He's not doing the job. Next thing you know, they got Varitek catching Lester, and Lester gets racked for 7 runs against Tampa. Now, I mean, is it Varitek, or is these guys just starting off so slow?
Well, if you look at Lester's stats in his career, he's terrible in April. In April, he's not that great in May either. For some reason, the guy just can't get off to a solid beginning of the season. Once June, July, August comes around, he could be the best left-handed pitcher in all of baseball. This guy, but for some reason, I think his numbers over the past 2 years are like 2 and 6 in April, with a really high ERA.
And to go back what Jay said earlier, like you're saying, well, Jason Bay will look good out there. All right, but I'd rather have John Lackey as my 3-starter than Jason Bay in left field, and that's what it is. The money was going to Jason Bay or was going to John Lackey.
Well, that's $26 million difference.
Yeah, but you don't look at it that way. They were going to give Jason Bay or John Lackey 17 or 18 million. That's where that money was allocated to.
Yeah.
It was either going to Jason Bay or John Lackey. In my money, I'd rather have the starting pitching for years to come. Now you can focus on maybe Kyle Crawford, get him in left field next year. He's a free agent.
Now
maybe you go, you know what, Buchholz, Casey Kelly, get Adrian Gonzalez here if this team continues to struggle. This is why you can focus on the offense. You don't have to worry about pitching staff for a good 2-3 years down the road because of Daisuke still there. The guys coming up, maybe you keep Kelly.
Yeah.
Or, they have 4 starters for the next 4 to 5 years. They're not going to touch.
And I agree with you there, because they have Lackey. Now, Cap, were you surprised about how Lackey did a 5-year deal? They signed him to 5 years, right? And one of the opt-out for the Red Sox is if he gets Tommy John surgery, they can opt out of that contract. Now, Beckett does a 4-year deal. There's no Tommy John surgery there at all for him to opt out. He does a 4-year deal. How do you feel about both signings?
Well, I think, first of all, it's great to have those 2 guys locked up for the next 5 years, okay? And you have Lester locked up as well. Let's face it, with these 3 guys, you're not going to run into too many 4 and 9 stretches over 13 games, okay? You're not going to run into too many 5-game losing streaks. They're just too good at pitchers. They're going to come around. But I have to admit, I agree with you on, I would rather have signed Lackey and not Bay, because it's always easier to get a hitter than it is a pitcher.
Yeah.
So you have 3 aces, so to speak, 3 number ones. When these guys come around, yeah, you're going to have to win some 2-1 games, 3-2 games. But I don't think this team is really done. I really think, San Diego right now, okay, it's early. They're 6 and 6. So 2 games out. Let's face it, this team's going to fade off. They're not good. They're going to be in the cellar by the trade deadline. It's just a matter of what are they going to ask for in return. And if it's something that we can provide and it's not going to hurt us that much, you throw Adrian Gonzalez in this lineup, now you're looking at, things are a little bit different.
And I don't agree with my co-host here too often.